Welcome back to the Sibling Group Chat. I'm Owen.
And I'm Cassidy.
And today we are back at it with the Odyssey review, episode 21, A Simple Addition.
Yes, before we start out, I should say last week when I told you what this week's episode was, I said a simple addiction, because I mistyped it in my notes, but it is a simple addition, slightly different. But anyway, this is the 22nd episode of Odyssey. It originally aired on April 16th, 1988, and it is in the Lost episodes. And in this episode, elementary schooler Nicky is upset that his baby sister is taking his parents' attention away from him. And the themes are siblings and sibling rivalry, but I would also argue love. They didn't list that as a theme, but I think that was a pretty important one in this episode.
If not the most important.
I know, that's what I thought. I get where they're going with sibling rivalry, but the baby is a baby. Like, she's not intentionally causing sibling rivalry. So I don't think that's quite the right word to use, but I get what they were going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we dive into the episode at all, can I just say this episode dragged so bad.
Yeah, it was a little slow. I would agree with that.
Like, there's nothing wrong with the episode. It was kind of a cute little episode, but yeah, I would never listen to it again. It was just slow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah. Maybe if I really needed to fall asleep, but anyway.
Yeah.
Chris's intro is, she says something about sometimes it feels like when there's a new addition to a family, that new addition gets all the attention, and it's like a little thing about a mom and dad who have their, newborn baby, and then the mother is oblivious to the father's, presence.
Yeah. It was kind of funny. And I have to say, probably one of the most spot-on intro sketches. Like, you know how I feel like normally these sketches aren't quite going the same direction as the episode, but this one it really was. So, good job there.
Yeah. Yeah, so then hopping to the episode, it's Joe, Shelley, and Nikki Rogers are about to have an addition to their family. We find out at the beginning of the episode, as the Rogers are in wit's end, that their baby is due in 2 weeks, and they are in what they expect to be their last family trip into town before the baby is due. But
yeah, and well, before we even honestly talk about this family, what was with this whole library thing at the beginning?
I was
Because it had
nothing to do with the
nothing
episode.
to do with the rest of the episode. Like, I don't know, I don't know if they're trying to get Chris to get us into Wits End in a different way every time. Like, sometimes we enter in the trains. But this was just weird because it was like this lady. Well, Chris was saying that people will confuse Wits End with the library and people will call Wit looking for books. And so he's like on the phone with this lady looking for an out of print book, and he like tells her he'll look for it. But it has nothing to do with the rest of the episode. Completely random. And also, Wits End does have a library later. So, I don't know, the whole thing was random and I felt irrelevant to the rest of the episode.
Yeah, it seemed unnecessary and confusing. I didn't even note it because I kind of forgot it existed, but
Yeah, like, just say we're at Wits End. You don't need a creative way to get us into it every time.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Moving on. It was just Mr. Rogers.
I didn't even realize that.
Just Joe and Nikki. Who did it take you a while to figure out that Nikki was a boy, or were you positive he was a boy?
I was thinking boy the whole time, but I guess it wasn't, because it's like a little kid voice.
Yeah.
So.
I figured out. Anyway, Nikki's a boy. They were talking to Wit, and Shelley, the mother, was in the bathroom. And when she comes back, she indicates. Well, she says they think she needs to go to the hospital. She indicates that she's going into labor, but they don't actually say that.
Yeah. So they end up leaving because of that. But just a few other things that happened. Did you get the impression that the only reason they were at Wits End was for Shelley to use the restroom?
Yes.
Which was a little weird, but whatever. They were supposed to be on the way to the store to get Nikki new boots,
Uh-huh.
which play an important role in this episode. And they also talk about, I think it's Shelly's parents, Nikki's grandparents, who he calls Nana and Dadu, which just unique grandparent names.
Uh,
But they're missionaries in Brazil. And at this point in the episode, I was like, what's the point of bringing them up? And we'll get to why they are brought up later, but I still felt like they were relatively unnecessary to the story.
if they were unnecessary to the story, then the boots were unnecessary to the story.
And I kind of felt like the boots were too, other than to give Nicky something that he was really focused on, and that's why he didn't care about the baby.
But the end of the episode has a much deeper meaning with the boots and the
I,
gold
sup-
guards.
I suppose it just felt a little weird. Like,
You take
I
out
feel
that
like,
part of the episode and you literally leave Nicky in a doghouse feeling sorry for himself.
I guess I guess we can discuss this later in the episode because I don't want to give too much away too early on. But anyway, Nicky's not going to get his boots because they have to go to the hospital. And Whit offers to stay with Nicky because there's no one else to stay with him while the parents go to the hospital. And I just have to wonder, did he just close Whit's End immediately, or was Connie there, or what happened if he left with them?
Whatever needed to happen. Story
I suppose.
convenience.
I suppose.
Yeah, but anyway. Yeah, Whit offers to watch Nicky, like you said, and then really the next thing we see is pretty soon. It must be like maybe the next day or a day or two later. He gets to meet his new baby sister, Shannon, and Nicky says he'd rather have his new boots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nicky doesn't care, but Mr. Whitaker seems really obsessed with babies. Because
Yeah.
not only is he like goo goo guying all over baby Shannon, but like they're like watching the whole baby nursery at the hospital, so there's like lots of babies, and Mr. Whitaker is just like loving the babies, which I don't know, I just thought was kind of funny and cute at the same time.
Whatever you say. But when they get home, Nicky is upset because all of their baby stuff, like the baby crib, her pacifier, I don't remember if there was anything else, but anyway, all those things that they had prepared for the new baby, they had used to be his when he was a baby. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing, like they say, like, oh, he remembers this. How long did he use these things?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, okay, so I'm 3 years older than you. I used that crib until you were born, like, because it like modified to like a toddler bed sort of thing.
Yeah,
But he seems elementary age, so I don't think he had still been using it and like just transitioned out of it just for the baby to be born. But yeah, I thought it was a little weird he was remembering stuff. But also, who saves a pacifier?
yeah, that was a little
I
weird.
don't like. There's germs involved with those. I don't. If kids lose them, I don't think you're saving those for your next child.
Yeah. Nor would I care if my parents did save it. Would I want it back because it was mine?
Exactly. Unless the pacifier was like his comfort thing, but it's not because we find out that he has a blankie and a lammy.
Uh,
So, yeah, the whole pacifier thing was, I was like, you could have picked something else. Like, you're not saving and being attached to pacifiers.
yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a little strange. But anyway, he gets so worked up and annoying to his parents that they tell him to leave the baby's room. And then he goes and somehow breaks a glass. I don't know if he just did this for attention or if it was actually an accident. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a little weird because I felt like it would have made sense that he did it on purpose for attention, but the parents seemed to think it had been left in a bad spot, and he does seem legitimately scared that it happened.
Yeah.
So I think it was an accident, or else like there probably would have been a confession involved or something. Like if
Yeah.
he had done it on purpose, it would have been part of the plot. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too. It was just, it seemed a little odd. It was just like he left and all of a sudden he broke something.
Yeah, they're like the writers were like, we need a loud noise. What makes sense? Oh, there'll just be a glass left too close to the edge of the counter.
Uh huh. So then he asks for his blankie and lammy, which I get the impression that he doesn't really use much anymore because they don't know where they are.
Yeah, I was getting that too. And especially because they later question, like, oh, do you think he'll start sucking his thumb again? Um, I think he was just like reverting back to baby things because he was trying to get attention.
Hmm. Then he decides to go outside to see. Well, he says to play with Jingle Bells, his dog. He actually goes outside and like uh, hangs out with Jingle Bells, his dog. He
Yeah.
crawls into Jingle Bells' doghouse
Oh, yes.
and tells him about
And
the troubles and woes of life.
yeah, and we found out earlier from when Mr. Whitaker was watching Nikki that he has this bad habit, or not really habit, but like he gets in trouble for feeding the dog real food. Like Mr. Whitaker said he had fed the dog a bologna sandwich. When he comes outside this time, he was feeding him chicken and cake. And I feel like unless there was going to be an issue with the dog like throwing up, that wasn't like it's funny, but it wasn't super necessary.
I thought it was just
I don't know.
funny. It was kind of cute that
It was
he was giving him food.
Yeah, it was cute, but we saw no repercussions. I don't know. But yeah, he's just like complaining to the dog about like the I was the baby, now there's a new baby and yeah. It
Hmm.
must be a big dog house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even when his dad comes out onto the porch, that's the next thing that happens. He even asks if there's room for him in there, which obviously he doesn't try to fit in, but I mean, it implies that there was still room in there.
Also, that's just kind of a dad joke kind of a thing.
Kind of, but he seemed halfway serious.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, he comes out to talk to Nikki, and Nikki asks him if he's their favorite. He doesn't say what, but favorite child. Um, and Joe explains that they love him just as much now, even more than they did when he was born. And then he explains using an example of some kittens that they had seen at Mr. Riley's, and how the mother cat cares for all of her kittens the same, and so he says that they love both Nikki and Shannon with all the love that they have. And
Yeah, there was just some cute stuff with the rabbit. They like or not rabbit. I don't know why I said rabbit. The cats. Like I thought it was funny that Nikki was like, "Where's the daddy cat?" And the dad's like, he probably went to work." Like I just thought that line was funny, and then yeah, just all the questions about the baby cats,
mhm,
kittens.
yeah. So then he's telling Nikki how he's unique and um, how yeah, I don't remember what he said after that. And then he taught
Yeah, he's just getting the point that parents love and learn how to take care of their children. Because I think Nikki had asked something like, "How can you love both Shannon and I?" And his point was that the cat was loving four babies at once, so they could love two children at different
yeah.
ages, kind of a
Well,
thing.
and then Nikki asks him like how much love is there or something like that, and then so that
Hmm.
leads him into explaining about how God's love is the biggest love there is. I think is what he said. But like, there's no end to God's love, and he talks about how Nikki's grandparents are in Brazil because they're sharing God's love. And then Shelly comes to tell Nikki that Wit is at the door. He has a package from Nikki's grandparents. Why was Wit there?
I was wondering the same
Because
thing.
Wit even says that the delivery man dropped it off.
Yeah, like I think like it's not like Wit brought the package. They happened to see the package when they answered the door for Wit. I was wondering the same thing. I was like, why is Mr. Whitaker here? Like, no need or reason at all.
Yeah, I was just as confused. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
kind of like, there's no reason for him to be there. I harken back to episode 1 when why was Coach Riley there?
Yeah.
Why was Mr.
Why was
Whitaker
Mr.
there?
Whitaker there?
Yeah. Anyway, the package has boots made by a man at his grandparents' mission, and it kind of like shows it helps Nikki kind of understand how God works, I guess, because his boots
Yeah,
can.
because Yeah, because he'd been really sad he didn't get these boots, and yeah, here come these special handmade boots
Mm-hmm.
from this who had
Yeah,
heard the gospel from his grandparents.
that's all I've got on notes there. I mean, Chris's outro talks about parents love all their children, and she reads from Romans 8.
Yeah, it was. I didn't even really realize how short it was until here we are, only 15 minutes, and
No, the
we're done.
episode
But
itself wasn't short. It was a 22, 23-minute episode like most of them are. It was just,
yeah,
it was just
not much happened.
not much happened. Like, it was a slow episode, like, development wise. There wasn't a lot of action or anything.
No, and I feel like it was missing some development too that would have made it not feel so slow. Like, I don't know, do you feel like because the parents are concerned that Nikki's not adjusting well to the baby, Nikki runs outside and is talking to the dog, and then all of a sudden his dad is coming to talk to him about how much they love him. Like, I feel like we didn't see the parents make that realization of what Nikki's problem was. Like, it went straight from the parents wondering, like, why is he acting like this, to them telling him that they love him as much as the baby.
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, do you feel that way at all? Like, I feel like we needed to see the parents come to that realization on their own, not just go tell Nikki.
Huh?
It felt too abrupt for me. Like, because we go from seeing the parents questioning what Nikki's problem is, straight to them going to the dad talking to him about God's love. With
Okay, so
no.
you think we needed to have a conversation of the parents figuring out his problem before we
Yeah.
have them talking to him?
Yeah, something like that. It just felt a bit abrupt to me.
Hmm. I guess. I don't know. So
Or or even when the dad went out to talk to Nikki, maybe he should have questioned him, like, what's going on, like, how are you feeling? Like, he just immediately knew what Nikki needed to hear.
yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, it was a cute episode, but yeah, I feel like maybe the storytelling was lacking a little bit.
Yeah. You have any idea why it's lost?
I was wondering the same thing because I didn't really feel like there was any problems with it.
No.
Um, other than maybe weak storytelling, but I don't think that's a
You say
reason
there's
to get.
definitely there are non-lost episodes that kind of drag from time to time too.
Yeah, and it's not really an episode that was ever like. I get this is a Lost episode, not an Officer Harley episode, so they weren't generally like replacing the Lost ones, I don't think.
Hmm.
But there's not another episode similar to this, and it's not like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
the
really
only
don't
thing
know.
that comes close is the one you were talking about a couple days ago with um, Danny. Is that his name?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, but I went back and I was looking at the episode when Danny's parents suffer a miscarriage and he hadn't wanted the baby. But that episode deals kind of with the same thing as sibling rivalry, but it ends up dealing more with the miscarriage and dealing with grief. So
Hmm.
I feel like in the end the theme is different, even though it has
Yeah,
a
it is.
slightly
There are
similar
some
premise.
similar themes, especially at the first half of the episode, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that too, but I feel like in the end they are quite different episodes.
I'd agree with that.
But yeah, let us know what you think. Do you know why this episode was removed, or do you have guesses of why it was removed? Do you like it in general, or you think it's lacking?
Hmm.
Tell us all your thoughts.
Yeah. So what's our episode for next week?
Next week, next week's episode is an Officer Harley episode called "The Quality of Mercy." So we will hear more about that next week. Not to give anything away, but it is another episode that was later redone.
Hmm.
So yeah.
But yeah, as always, thank you for listening. Comment anything you want to down below. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe wherever you listen, or wherever you listen, plus the other place that our podcast is. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.